Hi, boys and girls. Thanks for joining me for math again. I hope this video is finding you doing well. Today we're going to be doing lesson 10.3. That is on page 425. So please grab your workbook so that you can do your math right along with me. Again, we're on lesson 10.3. We did move on from chapter 9. We only spent that week on time. We are hoping to come back to chapter 9, but right now we are again on chapter 10, lesson 3. So last week we talked about picture graphs, and so this should look familiar right over here, the type of sneakers we are wearing. So let's imagine that we had a class and this many students were wearing laces, and so there are little circles here showing these students, these children. And this many students had no laces. Now, let's pretend like you're the teacher. Can you think of a question to ask about this graph? Could you say something like, how many students had laces? Or maybe you're thinking of the other way. How many children had no laces? Or maybe you're even thinking about the difference. Maybe you're thinking of a question like, how many more students had laces? How many more students had laces? I'm going to go ahead and write that question. If you have a different question, you can write it down here, but I'm going to write how many children, how many more children had laces? So go ahead and pause the video so you can write your question down. And then I want you to take a minute and I want you to answer that question. So my question was, how many more children had laces? And you can use this question and then you're going to need to answer it. So if I came over and I looked at the difference right here, this is where they stop being the same, and I can see, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4 more children with laces. So you are writing your question, and then you're going to want to answer that question. Okay, so if you need to, pause the video. In your neatest, nicest writing, you are writing your question and your answer to that question. So remember, if your question was different, then your answer is going to probably be different too. Okay, I'm going to move on. Again, pause the video so that you don't fall behind as I move on to the next page. This next page, we're going to start talking about bar graphs, and you can kind of see how the picture graph and the bar graph are similar. They are alike in many ways. They both are easy ways to tell information. So in this bar graph, you can see that they use different colors, and there's actual bars that will help you remember. A bar graph shows bars, and it's easy for us to compare the lengths of these bars. So we have art tools over here, markers, paintbrushes, and crayons, and then we have the number of children listed down here. So this tells me which number of children have these art tools. If you look down, I can tell by using this number right here. If I go to the end of the bar and move it down, that helps me read this graph. So let's go ahead and move on to our questions. Now, Mrs. Kaufman is not going to be writing in this page. You are going to follow along and you are going to write in your books, okay? So number 1, how many children chose paintbrushes? Well, look up here, go to the end of that bar. What number do you see You said 6. You are right. 6 children have paintbrushes. Can you please make sure you write that right here? Question number 2. How many children chose crayons? Look at those children. Look at that bar graph. Check your numbers. Okay, you should have said 2 children. Right down here is 2 children. So number 2, 2 children. Okay, number 3. How many more children chose paintbrushes than crayons? This sounds like a question that's asking the difference. So let's take a look at paintbrushes. We know that is 6, and we know crayons is 2. So how many more? 1, 2, 3, 4. If you said 4 more, then you are right. Write that down, 4 more. Let's take a look at number 4 now. Which art tool did the fewest children choose? Now the bar graph makes this super easy to tell because I just look up at my bar graph and the smallest bar tells me the fewest children or the fewest number. So my smallest bar is right here, crayons. So you're going to go ahead and circle the crayons. And then number 5, which art tool did the most children choose? Now again, a bar graph makes this super easy for us to look at. The most, look at the longest one. And you should have said paintbrushes. So circle your paintbrush. All right, boys and girls, I hope you're following along and you're getting this down on reading a bar graph. Let's have some more practice on your own. This time I'm going to just read the questions and see if you can do the counting on your own. So, number 6, how many children have cars? Use your bar graph and you'll notice this bar graph is going up. This one is vertical. The other one was across. It was horizontal. Still the same information. Number 7, how many children chose dump trucks? Go to your dump truck. Count those up. Look at it. Now number 8, how many children in all chose cars and dump trucks? There's that word and. You're putting them together, which means you're, did anyone say adding? You're adding. Count up the cars, count up the dump trucks, and put them together. In all, how many? You're adding. Number 9, how many more children chose truck than cars? Now this one is asking how many more, so there's a difference in this one. There's a difference. You might be subtracting or counting on. What is this difference? Okay, go ahead and write that down. And again, boys and girls, remember, if I am going too fast for you, pause the video and then push play when you are ready. Number 10, which vehicle did the most children choose? Look at that bar graph. The most means the longest. So circle one of those. Number 11, I am going to play the math on the spot video for us. It says order the vehicles from least to most. So let's go ahead and take a look at that on the spot math video. Here we go. Right.
Jeannie? I love you! What are you doing, Jeannie?
Oh, hey, Professor Burger. I'm just practicing because today I'm going to see my favorite rock band, Rockstars. I love them.
Yeah.
You know what I want to do?
I don't know.
My math, because I love math.
Oh, now I like that, and I can help with that. So how about before you go to the concert, why don't we have some fun thinking about mathy stuff?
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. So what I want us to do today is to take a look at this bar graph,
Oh, yeah.
and I want us to order the vehicles from most to least votes.
Okay.
And I want us to write 1 for the most votes
Mhm.
and 3 for the least votes.
Oh, this is going to be fun. Woo!
All right, so let's take a look. So here's the bar graph, and we see the favorite vehicles. That's what we're going to be looking at. The
Okay.
number of children that pick each one of these: car,
Oh.
truck, or dump truck. And the way you read the bar graph is you see where the color ends, and the color ends at a number, and that represents, in this case 2, the number of children that actually pick the car as their favorite vehicle.
Wow.
And here with truck, you see that blue goes all the way up to 5, which means that 5 children actually pick the truck as their favorite. And then the dump truck, you can see, goes all the way up to the top there, which if you go over, you see represents 6. So that's how you read a bar graph.
Oh, that's neat.
So just all that image really is capturing this information. It's capturing the fact that there are 2 votes for the car, 5 votes for the truck, and 6 votes for the dump truck.
Neat.
So if we want to actually look at the most votes all the way down to the least votes, which is what we want to do, the most votes is going to be the bar that's the highest, or the votes that are the greatest number, which in this case is the dump truck.
The dump truck.
And we're going to call the most votes, we're going to call that number 1. And that's why you hear, we're number 1, we're number 1.
Oh, yeah. Roxas is number 1.
All right. So we write 1, and that means that that's the most popular.
Okay.
And then the least popular is going to be the bar that's the shortest, which in this case, we can look at the numbers and see the number that's the smallest, which we see is represented by the cars. So we're going to actually write the 3 because they came in 3rd place.
I see.
And then what's in the middle? Well, the trucks got 5 votes, and you can see that bar is actually between these 2 bars in terms of the height. And so therefore, we see that we've ordered from most votes to least votes, and we called the most votes number 1, and then number 2, and then 3rd place number 3. In this case, is represented by the cars. So it's interesting that even though the trucks got a bigger number of votes, when we write them in kind of order of preference, it's 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And that's how we look at bar graphs.
Oh, wow, that's so cool. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Oh, Professor Burger, I just love bar graphs.
Great.
Hey, let's do another one.
Sure.
For Roxas. Because I love math.
Oh, I love math. I love math.
I love
Have
math.
fun with math. We'll see you soon.
Woohoo, math!
All right, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed that video. You have a couple more problems on the next page to get to using another bar graph. So go ahead and work on that. Reach out if you need anything. And thank you, boys and girls, for all your hard work during this distance learning. We love to see that you are keeping up those skills you've been working on all year long. So keep it up, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.